The airport was packed that morning, passengers rushing, announcements blaring, and security on high alert. Everything was routine, until one bark changed everything. Rex, a canine dog trained to follow every command without question, suddenly disobeyed a direct order. He ran straight toward a man holding a little boy's hand. What looked like a mistake turned out to be the most important decision of Rex's life, and what he uncovered left the entire terminal frozen in shock. It was supposed to be an ordinary morning at Atlanta International Airport. Officer Jenna Cole had been on duty since 5 a.m., patrolling Terminal B with her loyal partner, Rex, a 5-year-old German shepherd with sharp instincts, a decorated service record, and an unmatched bond with her. They had worked together for 3 years. Through bomb threats, suspicious bags, and tense situations, Rex had never once disobeyed. He was the definition of discipline, focus, and loyalty. Passengers often admired him. Kids smiled. Adults stepped out of his way. He was serious, professional, and totally predictable. Until that one morning, when he did something Jenna never saw coming. He broke every rule. He ignored her commands, and he saved a boy's life. It all started at exactly 7:48 a.m. at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. The terminal was alive with movement, the smell of fresh coffee, distant intercom announcements, the faint roar of aircraft engines beyond the windows, all of it mixed into that familiar, almost chaotic hum of morning travel. Families clustered together with strollers and stuffed animals poking out of bags. Business travelers kept their heads down, Bluetooth earbuds flashing blue every few seconds. Flight crews walked in crisp uniforms, dragging matching carry-ons behind them. It was the kind of morning that looked normal, that felt normal, until it wasn't. Officer Jenna Cole, in her dark blue TSA uniform, moved calmly beside her canine partner, Rex, a 5-year-old German shepherd with a powerful build and deep amber eyes that missed nothing. They'd been patrolling the concourse near the Terminal B food court, following the same routine they'd done for months. Rex sniffed suitcases lined up by the benches, glanced briefly at a group of college students taking selfies, and gave no signs of stress. His body language was relaxed, his breathing steady. Just another day at work. Passengers smiled as they walked by. A child reached out to wave at Rex, and Jenna gave a polite smile, gently tugging the leash to keep Rex focused. Rex was a good dog. No, he was more than good. He was exceptional. Graduated top of his class from the Federal K-9 Training Academy. Helped uncover 2 illegal weapons smuggling attempts. Once found a missing person scent trail in under 12 minutes. He'd never, not once, acted out of order. Never pulled. Never barked unnecessarily. Never disobeyed Jenna's voice. Which is what made what happened next so terrifying. As they turned the corner near the seating area closest to Gate 37, Rex suddenly froze. It was so subtle at first, Jenna almost didn't notice. One paw half raised in the air, head tilted slightly to the left, ears rigid and pointing forward. "Rex?" she asked gently. He didn't move. Then came a low growl, not the kind of alert growl she was trained to expect, not the short bursts that indicated a bomb threat, not the whine that meant drugs had been detected. This was different. It was primal, deep, unmistakably aggressive. Her heart skipped. "What is it, boy?" Rex's eyes were locked ahead. Jenna followed his line of sight. That's when she saw them. A man, tall, wearing a gray hoodie and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. Beside him was a boy, couldn't have been older than 7, wearing a bright red hoodie, holding the man's hand loosely. Nothing about the pair screamed danger. To the untrained eye, they looked like any father and son ready for their next flight. But Rex saw something Jenna didn't. Before she could react, Rex lunged. The leash ripped from her hand in one violent motion, burning her palm as it slid through. Her training kicked in, but it was too late. "Rex!" No, he didn't even glance back. Rex tore across the terminal with lightning speed, weaving between suitcases, startling passengers, and making a direct line for the man and the boy. People jumped back. A woman screamed. A toddler began crying. Someone yelled, "What's going on?" The man noticed the commotion, turned and froze. Rex skidded to a halt inches from him, his body blocking their path to the exit, barking in violent, vicious bursts. Loud, sharp, unrelenting. The boy jolted backward at the sound, instinctively clutching his ears. "Call off your dog," the man yelled. "You're scaring my kid." Jenna arrived seconds later, her chest heaving from the sprint, eyes wide with disbelief. She had never seen Rex like this. Teeth bared, fur raised. The dog stood like a living barrier between the man and the airport door. "Rex, heel." "Nothing." "Rex." Stand down. Still nothing. He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even acknowledge her voice. That's when her training gave way to her instincts. Something was very, very wrong. The man was now sweating. His hand, still gripping the boy's wrist, had gone rigid. This is ridiculous, he snapped. I'm just trying to get to our gate. I have our tickets. He fumbled with his phone, trying to show a digital boarding pass. Jenna's voice was calm but firm. Sir, I'm going to need you to take a step back from the child. He shook his head. Why? What's your dog's problem? He's my son. The boy looked up at Jenna, eyes wide, lips slightly parted. There was a silent fear in him that no child should carry. Jenna crouched down, making eye contact with the child. Hi there, she said gently. What's your name? The boy hesitated. The man squeezed his shoulder. Tell her, Liam. The boy didn't answer. Jenna's heart started pounding louder. She reached for her radio. Code 4 at gate 37. Possible child endangerment. K9 alert. Request immediate backup. Across the terminal, 2 TSA agents turned and began moving in their direction. As the seconds passed, passengers gathered at a distance, recording on their phones, whispering. Rex didn't budge, still barking, still growling, but now something else emerged in his posture, something protective. He wasn't trying to attack the man, he was trying to protect the child, and Jenna saw it. She knelt again. Can you tell me, is this man your dad? The boy glanced at the man, then back at Jenna. His lips quivered. He shook his head. Everything changed in that one motion. Jenna stood up, hand moving to her sidearm, voice commanding. Sir, step away from the boy. Now, I told you he's my son. Then why doesn't he recognize you? She shot back. Why is my dog acting like you're a threat? By now, more officers had arrived. One stepped forward, pulling the man back as gently as possible, while another knelt to talk to the child. The man resisted, then froze as an officer scanned his ID. Something didn't add up. The name didn't match the boarding pass. The photo was blurred. The ticket had been purchased in cash, just this morning. Then the kicker, a missing child report from Charlotte, North Carolina, filed 48 hours earlier, matched the exact description of the boy in red. The man wasn't his father. He was a kidnapper. Jenna stood, dumbfounded. Rex, still tense, still alert, looked up at her with eyes that said everything. I knew. At that moment, Jenna dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around Rex's neck. You brilliant, stubborn, wonderful boy, she whispered through tears. Her heart ached with the weight of what almost happened. Had Rex not acted, had she yanked him back instead of following his lead, that little boy would have been gone forever. The man's name, once verified, was Marcus Leary. He wasn't on any boarding list. He didn't have any check bags. He wasn't related to the child. And worse, his name had come up before. 3 states away, in Kentucky. He had been questioned, but never arrested, in connection with an attempted abduction at a public park. Authorities never had enough evidence. No witnesses, no fingerprints, just a vague composite sketch. But now, he'd been caught red-handed, and the proof wasn't from a surveillance camera or a human witness. It was a dog, a K9 unit, that had sensed what no one else could. Jenna stood frozen as agents took Marcus away in cuffs, his protests drowned out by the chaos. I didn't do anything. He came with me willingly. You don't understand. But it was too late. The lie had collapsed. Rex sat beside the boy, finally quiet now, but still alert. His body blocked the world like a shield. The child, Eli Carter, had been missing for 2 days. His mother had dropped him off at a school event. He never showed up. Security cameras were fuzzy. The school staff said he might have left early with a family friend. No one had seen him since. Until now. A soft sob broke the moment. Jenna turned. Eli, quiet the whole time, was crying. Not loud or panicked. Just soft, silent tears running down his cheeks. Jenna crouched and spoke gently. Hey, you're safe now. He's not going to hurt you. I promise. Eli's tiny hand reached out and rested on Rex's head. He didn't say a word, but in that moment, he didn't need to. The way he looked at Rex, like the dog was an angel, not an animal, said it all. He trusted him, more than any adult in the room. While Jenna comforted Eli, her mind spiraled through what just happened. She'd seen danger before. Bomb threats, drug smugglers, even near shootings. But this was different, because they weren't even looking for a kidnapper today. There was no tip-off, no alert, no be on the lookout. Rex acted entirely on his own instinct. And what terrified Jenna most was what might have happened if she had ignored it. Minutes later, the terminal had mostly cleared. TSA officials had created a perimeter, and officers escorted Eli to a private room to wait for Child Protective Services and the FBI. But Jenna stayed behind with Rex. She couldn't shake the feeling in her gut, the knot of emotion that refused to untie. What had Rex seen? What did he smell? What did he sense in that man? She sat on a bench, running her hand over Rex's thick fur. "You knew," she whispered. "You just knew." Rex nuzzled her side. To anyone watching, it was a simple gesture between handler and dog. But for Jenna, it was everything. It was trust, loyalty, bravery. It was her partner, her friend, telling her, "I had your back." I had his too. Back in the security office, FBI agents reviewed the footage. Camera angles showed Marcus approaching the terminal doors that morning alone, then stepping aside as a mother and child entered. He tailed them for several minutes. Then, at a coffee kiosk, he spoke briefly to the boy. No one saw exactly what was said, but moments later, Marcus was holding the boy's hand. The mother, distracted by a phone call. By the time she realized her son wasn't behind her, he was already gone. Marcus had intended to board a flight with Eli. He had a fake child boarding pass scanned from a PDF on his phone. The ticket belonged to another child, flying with his actual parent that day. He had studied, planned, prepared, and still, he hadn't counted on one thing: a dog who wouldn't listen to orders. That day became one of the most talked about incidents in K-9 law enforcement circles. Not because Rex followed training, but because he didn't. Later, Jenna was called into a debriefing with her TSA supervisor and several FBI agents. "What made your dog react like that?" one agent asked. Jenna hesitated. "I don't know. There was no cue, no trigger. It was like he just felt it." Could he have smelled something? Possibly. Fear, adrenaline, body chemistry changes. But still, he's never acted out before. Never broken rank. "He's my most disciplined partner." They nodded. Then one said quietly, "You understand he saved that boy's life, right?" Jenna didn't speak. She just looked down at her dog and nodded. That night, Jenna brought Rex home instead of leaving him in the K-9 kennel. He lay on her couch, calm, tired from the emotional toll of the day. Jenna sat beside him with a blanket and coffee, watching the news. Sure enough, the story had made headlines. K-9 hero saves missing child at Atlanta airport. Dog disobeys handler, exposes kidnapper. One bark at a time. Rex the hero. But Jenna muted the TV. It wasn't about the fame or the praise. It was about what almost happened and how terrifyingly close it came to becoming a tragedy. Then her phone buzzed. A text from her supervisor. "The boy's mother is here. She wants to meet you and your dog." The next day, Jenna returned to the terminal, not in uniform, but with Rex at her side. Near a quiet family waiting area, a woman sat trembling, holding her son in her lap. It was Eli. He looked up as they approached. Then he slid off the bench and ran, but not to Jenna, to Rex. He threw his arms around the German shepherd's neck and buried his face in the thick fur. Rex didn't move. He just stood still, eyes soft, tail thumping once, then twice. The boy's mother stood, tears already streaming down her face. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. Jenna shook her head. "Don't thank me. Thank him." The woman crouched down and looked into Rex's eyes, and for a moment, there were no words, just the overwhelming silence of gratitude, of a life not lost. The airport had returned to business as usual, but Jenna's world hadn't, even after debriefs and paperwork. Even after Marcus Leary was taken into custody and Eli was reunited with his mom, something inside her hadn't settled. Something was still off. Jenna wasn't new to adrenaline. She'd worked K-9 units for almost a decade. She had taken down smugglers, intercepted traffickers, helped locate missing persons. But this time it was different. This time it had been intimate. This time it wasn't a bust. It was a boy. A little life that might have vanished forever if her partner hadn't broken every protocol they'd ever trained on. And the haunting question kept echoing. Why that man? Why that moment? Why did Rex run? 2 days after the incident, Jenna sat in a briefing room with 2 federal agents and an airport liaison. Rex, as always, was at her side, alert, tail curled around his legs, calm but focused. An agent named Halliswell tapped a folder. "Turns out, Marcus Leary isn't just some random creep," he said. "He's connected to an online network we've been tracking for months." Jenna blinked. "Trafficking? Possibly. It's a decentralized ring. They communicate in code. So far, we've tied him to 2 burner phones, a van in Alabama, and another attempted child abduction in Nashville." Her jaw clenched. So Eli wasn't his first victim? Halliswell nodded grimly, and probably wouldn't have been his last. Jenna looked down at Rex. He was staring at the agent, his ears twitching like he understood. A week later, the FBI invited Jenna and Rex to a behavioral analysis unit in D.C. There, specialists reviewed footage of the incident. frame by frame. One expert, a former scent profiler named Dr. Claire Hoyt, sat with Jenna in a darkened viewing room. "You see that?" She paused the video on the exact moment Rex freezes. "Most handlers wouldn't notice it," Claire said. "But watch his nostrils, his head angle, his eye contact." Jenna leaned closer. Rex's eyes weren't on the boy. They were locked on Marcus. "He's not responding to the child," Claire continued. "He's fixating on the adult." "Why?" Claire turned to her with a slow, haunted expression. "Dogs like Rex are trained to detect explosives, drugs, stress chemicals, even certain pheromones. But the truth is, we don't fully understand what else they're capable of. Some can pick up on behavior cues, subtle physical tension, even patterns in walking. Some can sense intent, human intent, aggression, malice, predation. You didn't see it, Jenna, but your dog did." That gave Jenna chills. He hadn't sniffed a bomb. He'd sniffed out evil. That night, Jenna couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed with Rex's head in her lap, scrolling through headlines, reports, court dates, everything Marcus had been connected to. She looked at Rex and whispered, "You broke orders, and you saved a life." Rex blinked slowly, one paw twitching as if dreaming. "But what if next time they don't believe us?" she asked. "What if they say it's just a dog acting up?" Rex didn't move. She wasn't worried for herself. She was worried for other handlers, for other dogs. What if the system couldn't keep up with what these animals knew instinctively? What if someone ignored their K9's bark next time? The next morning, Jenna received a call from Eli's mom, Maria. "I don't want to bother you," she said softly, "but Eli keeps asking if he can see Rex." Jenna smiled. Of course. When they met again at a local park, Eli didn't speak much, but when he saw Rex, he lit up. He brought the dog a red toy, shaped like a fire hydrant. "He picked it out himself," Maria said with tears in her eyes. Rex took the toy gently from Eli's hands and laid it on the grass, almost like he knew it was special. Then he sat down beside the boy. No barking, no guarding, just peace. Within days, the story exploded across social media. TikTok clips from travelers who caught the incident went viral. Hashtag Rex the Hero Dog trended worldwide. Interview requests flooded in. Talk shows wanted Jenna and Rex. Children mailed hand-drawn thank you cards. A local bakery made Rex-shaped cookies, but Jenna declined most appearances. Not because she didn't appreciate the gratitude, but because she didn't want the world to forget what this was about. "This isn't a cute dog video," she said in one interview she accepted. "This was almost a kidnapping. My partner, a dog, stopped it. Let's not let the heroics blind us to the horror." And people listened. Petitions began to circulate, calling for increased funding for airport K9 units. Others demanded the federal database on missing children be integrated into facial recognition systems at airports. Change, slow but real, had started. Because of Rex, Jenna often found herself replaying Rex's early training days. He had always been the calm one, not the fastest, not the loudest, but the most focused. Other dogs got distracted by decoys. Rex never did. He always zeroed in on what mattered, his eyes scanning, his nose twitching. Jenna remembered one drill where a volunteer pretended to fall and cry for help while another quietly slipped away with a training dummy hidden under a blanket. All the dogs rushed to the loud actor, all except Rex. He trailed the quiet figure silently, sat down behind them, and stared, waiting. Back then, she thought it was odd. Now, she thought it was genius. But the aftermath wasn't all victory laps and headlines. Jenna had nightmares, not of Rex failing, but of herself failing him. In her dreams, she pulled his leash too early. She told him to heel. She hesitated, and every time, she woke in a cold sweat to the same terrible sound, the crackle of a boarding call, and a child's voice fading. She began to question every instinct. Had she grown too reliant on protocol? Had she been trained too thoroughly to trust instinct? Would she have stopped Marcus without Rex? And the truth was no, she wouldn't have. She wouldn't have even noticed. Eventually, Rex was nominated for a National K9 Valor Award. The ceremony was months away, but Jenna already knew they'd be asked to attend. But when a journalist called to ask, "What do you want the public to take away from this story?" Jenna paused. Then she said simply, "Sometimes, saving someone doesn't look like a hero with a cape. Sometimes, it's a bark in the middle of chaos. Sometimes, it's the moment a dog refuses to obey." The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed. The air was thick with anticipation. Marcus Leary sat silently, his face a mask of cold defiance. But the truth was about to break through the silence. Like a storm no one could stop, Jenna sat with Eli's mother, Maria, clutching the boy's hand. Rex lay quietly at her feet, alert yet calm, as if he understood what was at stake. The prosecutor stepped forward, holding a thin folder labeled Exhibit A. Inside were photos, messages, and intercepted phone calls revealing Marcus' chilling plan. He hadn't just intended to take Eli away that day. He had been part of a larger network, one that groomed children online, tracking their routines and carefully choosing targets based on vulnerability. One of the intercepted texts read, "Target acquired. Next move, airport extraction. Keep low." The courtroom gasped. Jenna's heart pounded. Every detail fit perfectly with what Rex had sensed. After the arrest, federal agents uncovered a hidden compartment in Marcus' van parked miles from the airport. Inside, they found documents, photos of other children, detailed schedules, maps marked with airport layouts, even notes on security patrols. The picture was clear. Marcus hadn't acted alone. There was a network, a dark web of predators using modern technology to prey on innocent kids. As the courtroom drama unfolded, Eli sat quietly beside his mother. His wide eyes were still haunted by the memories, gripping a stranger's hand, feeling trapped, afraid. But now, with Marcus behind bars, he could finally begin to heal. In the weeks after the trial, Jenna visited Eli regularly. At first, the boy barely spoke. But one afternoon, while playing fetch with Rex in the backyard, Eli finally smiled. "Rex is my hero," he whispered. Jenna felt tears sting her eyes. In the quiet moments, Jenna often thought about Rex, how he had followed a deeper instinct, how he'd refused to obey orders, how his loyalty had saved a life. She realized that Rex wasn't just a K9 partner. He was a guardian, a silent sentinel walking the thin line between danger and safety. And he had won. The jury deliberated for only hours. When the verdict came, Marcus was found guilty on all counts: kidnapping, trafficking, conspiracy, sentenced to life without parole. A victory, yes, but a somber one, because Jenna knew the fight wasn't over. Months later, Jenna stood with Rex at the airport, watching his families reunited. Children laughed, and travelers bustled by. She looked down at Rex, who wagged his tail softly. "Thank you, boy," she whispered. For Rex, it was just another day on the job. But for Jenna, for Eli, and for everyone who might one day cross their path, it was a reminder that sometimes the bravest heroes don't wear badges. Sometimes they have 4 paws and a heart bigger than the world. What happened that morning at the airport was more than just a dog breaking the rules. It was a powerful reminder of how deep the bond between a K9 and their handler can be. Rex wasn't just trained to follow commands. He was trained to protect, to sense danger, and to act when something felt wrong. And in that moment, he trusted his instincts over orders. That split-second decision didn't just save Eli's life. It changed everything for everyone involved. For Jenna, it was a lesson in trust, not just in her dog's training, but in the incredible intuition and loyalty that animals can show. For Eli, it was a second chance, a chance to escape a frightening situation and find safety with his family. For the strangers and travelers witnessing it all, it was a moment that showed how brave and true a dog's heart can be. Rex's actions remind us that sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear capes or carry badges. They have paws, keen noses, and a courage that defies all odds. This story shows the unspoken language of trust between humans and dogs, how it can mean the difference between danger and safety. And it makes you think, how many times have we missed signs around us because we weren't paying attention? How often do we forget that sometimes breaking the rules is exactly what's needed to do what's right? This wasn't just a routine patrol or a day at the airport. It was a moment that showed the power of instinct, the strength of loyalty, and the impact one brave dog can have on a life. Rex didn't just disobey orders. He became a true hero, saving a boy from harm and reminding us all that sometimes listening to your heart is more important than following the rules. If Rex's courage moved you, subscribe now for more unforgettable stories about the incredible bond between humans and their pets.